and talk about Sabonis being 10-0 against Anthony Davis for his entire career. He's never lost a game against Anthony Davis. Shout out LeVar Ball. He's never lost. And it's not like it's because the team is better than him or anything. It's because Sabonis literally continues to outplay Anthony Davis in every single game that they match up against each other. Why? Anthony Davis should be in the conversation for one of the top 3 big men in the entire NBA. But here he is constantly losing to Sabonis. And I'm not saying that Sabonis is bad, but it's like, you gotta win at least once. Sabonis ended the game with 17 points, 19 rebounds, 10 assists, triple-double machine. He's absolutely insane. All-star snub without a doubt. Harrison Barnes, he ended the game with 23 points. And let's look. Keegan Murray ended the game with 19 points, 11 rebounds. And De'Aaron Fox ended the game with 21 points. Now, I'm surprised he didn't end up scoring 40 because he usually always scores 40 against the Lakers. But this game was all Domantas Sabonis because that triple-double is ridiculous. Like, if Jokic wasn't in the league, he would definitely, like, be considered a triple-double king. It's just Jokic, like, he always gets these triple-doubles, and it's insane. But regardless, like, it's every single game with Anthony Davis. And he played 41 minutes, and he had 22 points. 41 minutes for 22 points. He shot 7 of 18 from the field. That is not good. That is bad. That is really bad. Wasting a perfect game from Austin Reeves and Roy Hachimura. And LeBron wasn't that much better either. LeBron ended the game with 18 points, 6 of 16 from the field. And usually, when your first option isn't doing well, you try to get your second option to do well. But Anthony Davis doesn't do well. I don't understand what the problem is with him. And I say this every single time I talk about him. He only plays well when he gets bullied by the media or forced into playing well. And I don't understand why. It's as if he needs people to tell him to start trying hard instead of just trying hard. It does not make any sense to me whatsoever. I don't get it. 22 points and 10 rebounds, they're good, but 41 minutes played and that's all you can do? Are you serious? And it's not like he's only bad against Sabonis. Against numerous centers in this league that are actually like competent, he's lost to. He's been outplayed by. I'm just going to read off the list. Again, Jokic, top center in the NBA. He's 0-3 against Jokic this season. What other center? Let's name them all. Rudy Gobert. He's not really good on the offensive side of the ball, but he is the best defensive center in the league by far. When you could argue that it's Victor Wembanyama if you want, but Rudy Gobert definitely brings a lot more value to a team defensively than Victor Wembanyama. As of right now, we don't know like Victor Wembanyama's future and like what his defense might hold, but that's as of right now. But against Rudy Gobert, he is 0-2 against Rudy Gobert, and he gets outplayed by Rudy Gobert. How do you get outplayed by Rudy Gobert? And another center, Bam Adebayo, he's on the Miami Heat, as I'm sure most of you guys know. He's on and off most of the time, but he did play very well in the finals. AD is 0-2 against Bam Adebayo. Another center on the list, Kristaps Porzingis. Now, remember, Anthony Davis, he did not play in that one game that the Lakers ended up beating the Celtics in when they were in the TD Garden. He's 0-1 against Kristaps. Against Kristaps, he's 0-1. Granted, that team is very good, so it's like and at the time the Lakers were most definitely struggling, so maybe that's a little bit harsh. But regardless, now Joel Embiid, who's injured, he is 0-1 against Joel Embiid. Anthony Davis has literally never played well and never won a game against a competent center. That is a serious problem. That is a very, very big problem, not just for Anthony Davis, but for the Lakers as a whole. And if you can't rely on one of your best big men to outplay the other big men, then what are you going to do in the playoffs when you're going to match up against them for 4 or more straight games? Like, Zubac on the Clippers. He looks better than Anthony Davis when he goes up against top centers. Like, he actually was responsible for Jokic shooting the worst percentage he shot in a very long time. I believe Jokic ended the game going 9 for 32 from the field, and that was on Zubac. Like, Zubac was actually playing. He actually plays a lot of his best games against some of the best centers. And that's what you want. That's what you expect from a center, to like bring value against these extremely competent centers. Like, imagine if he goes up against Giannis. Like, what's going to happen then? And in the playoffs, going into the playoffs, imagine if he has to match up against Sabonis in the playoffs. He is going to get cooked. He is going to get absolutely cooked for 4 games. Put in a blender, put in a spin cycle, everything. It makes no sense to me why Anthony Davis cannot play well against good centers. He should be in the conversation as one of the best centers. That's where he should be at right now. But instead, he's probably not even in the top 10, which is disappointing. It is extremely disappointing. He was an absolute monster on the Pelicans. And now, since he's been on LA, he's been nothing but a joke. Like, a straight joke on LA. People call him the Glass Man. That is a joke. And the fact that he stays injured like all the time, it also doesn't help. He's been very well like maintaining his health and not getting injured this season. And another thing that doesn't help was how I remember one time during the offseason, he was like, I haven't shot a basketball in 4 months. Are you serious? You're a professional basketball player and you haven't shot the ball in 4 months. Are you for real? But I digress. Now, it's a serious problem because if this man goes up against any other center in the playoffs, he's probably going to get destroyed. But this is a big thing. I will admit that most of the time, the playoffs are a very different game. So with the playoffs being a different game, like the pacing is also different, and the pressure is also a lot different in the postseason. The style of play and the defenses that is thrown at you are going to be different. And with all of this in mind, maybe come playoff time, he'll actually, like, the game will change and he'll lock in and he'll still be able to outplay a lot of these players. Like, let's just throw a hypothetical since we are talking about Sabonis and AD. Let's say they match up against each other in the postseason. Now, Sabonis might, he's obviously still going to play really well. However, Anthony Davis's experience in the postseason and being able to handle pressure might play a key factor in that postseason compared to the Kings being able to handle the pressure. Because the Kings, they are not really known for their playoff prowess. Like, the last time they made the playoffs was last year, and that was the most impressive thing that the franchise has done because they've been on a 15-year drought of not making the playoffs. And with that playoff appearance in mind, they were expected, as the 3rd seed, they were expected to do great things. However, Steph Curry happened. And when Steph Curry happened, there was really nothing that could have been done to stop him. Because, again, they were playing in Game 7, but Steph Curry knew how to handle the pressure, and him knowing how to handle the pressure allowed him to score 50 points and put more pressure on the Kings. And the Kings ended up collapsing and losing. And with that in mind, the Kings, they have a history of losing series where they should definitely win and blowing leads and blowing games that they definitely should win in the postseason. And granted, like there aren't really that many postseasons to really draw upon because they don't really make the postseason that often. But when they did, they still struggled in very important games. Again, they if you guys remember the series back in 2002, I believe, against the Lakers when they got into ridiculous foul trouble and the Lakers shot 25 free throws in the fourth quarter, I believe. I wasn't alive at that time, so my memory on that is a little dim, but they still were able to play in game 7. That I know for a fact. And they played game 7 in Sacramento and they got absolutely owned by the Lakers. So then this was sort of almost a direct parallel of what happened in the postseason when they were the third seed because they were up 3-2. Then they played Golden State at home. They lost, which was all right, but they were able to play game 7 in their home. And then Curry drops 50 and they end up losing in spectacular fashion and destroy the beam, not light the beam, but regardless, like if they match up against each other in the playoffs, it might be a whole different story because of the playoff experience that Anthony Davis does have over them, as well as LeBron James. You guys knew I was going to talk about LeBron James. I mean, obviously, he definitely plays a part in the postseason, as well as the rest of this team. So we can't entirely say for certain that Anthony Davis is going to outplay Sabonis or Sabonis is going to continue outplaying Anthony Davis. But I will say if they match up in the postseason, it is a serious, serious problem. If they match up against any competent center in the postseason, it is also a serious, serious problem because Anthony Davis, he just is not it. I am sorry. Like, I understand he's a great player, but he's just not where he is supposed to be and not where he's expected to be in this regular season, in the playoffs, wherever it is. He is not the player that he is supposed to be right now. But with that, we are out of time for the second segment. So now we are going to go ahead and go into the third segment where we give a quick recap of NBA games, and I will later reveal what the fourth segment is going to be about. So I will be right back after this short break.